So we're heading down Main Street in Charlestown, New Hampshire.
We are.
Main Street follows the Connecticut River, and on the other side of the Connecticut River is Vermont.
Yep, we are right on the border. Okay, so we're going to make a left right up there onto Summer Street.
Okay, got it.
And our destination is just ahead. It's that small brick building right across the street from the town hall.
Now, what brings us to this building in downtown?
Shh.
What brings us to this building in downtown Charlestown?
Ray, we've come to Charlestown, New Hampshire to rob a bank. Hello, I'm Jeff Belanger, and welcome to episode 366 of the New England Legends podcast.
And I'm Ray Auger. Thank you for joining us on our mission to chronicle every legend in New England one story at a time. Whether it's true crime, ghosts, monsters, aliens, cryptids, or the just plain weird, you can reach out to us anytime through our website with story ideas you think we should check out. Our website is also the place where you can find dates for Jeff's fall story tour, dates for my band, the Pub Kings, and links to everything else we have going on.
So we'll go bank robbing right after this word from our sponsor.
Okay, Jeff, I think this bank robbery thing is a very bad idea.
Why? I mean, how else are we going to get rich?
I get that part, but this building is just a few feet away from the Charlestown Town Hall in the center of town. I'm not sure how we'll get away with it.
Yeah, it's risky, sure. I don't know, anything else bothering you?
Yes, Jeff. This building isn't even a bank. There's a cross on it, and the sign reads Anglican Church.
Oh, that.
It can't be good luck to rob a church. How much money would even be in there?
Good point. All right, obviously this wasn't always a church.
Now, in fairness, it does look like it could have been a bank. It's a one-story brick building over a foundation of marble slabs. There's brick archways in each window. It's not very large either.
No, but it does look like it could have been a bank for sure.
All right, here's some background on Charlestown, New Hampshire. It's a small town that was first incorporated back in 1735. In 1781, Charlestown decided to join Vermont because they didn't care for the way they were being treated by the New Hampshire government. But after none other than George Washington insisted, Charlestown returned to New Hampshire in 1783. This historic building we're standing in front of was built in 1824 and housed the Connecticut River Bank. It served as a bank for most of its life before the Anglican Church bought the building to use for their house of worship. In recent years, the church moved their Sunday service to a bigger church in town, but they still own the building.
Got it. And the bank vault is still inside. To rob it, let's head back to the year 1850.
It's early June of 1850. Zachary Taylor is president of the United States. Angelina Baker is one of the most popular songs of the day. That was written, of course, by Stephen Foster.
Oh, he just had a big hit a couple of years ago with Oh, Susanna.
He did. Oh, Susanna, don't you cry for me. I've come from Alabama with a banjo on my knee. Thanks, Jeff. Now I've got that earworm stuck in my head.
So meanwhile, down in Oxford, Massachusetts, about 100 miles south of here, a horse and buggy has just set off heading north. At the reins is Abijah Larned. By his side is another man who agreed to help.
Larned is a bad dude. He's suspected of various robberies in the region. And now he's heading north for a big score.
The trip to Charlestown, New Hampshire takes about 5 days. The pair arrive on Monday, June 10th.
The two park their buggy by the river in town to rest the horse and themselves for the job ahead. They spend the afternoon napping and waiting for night to fall. With the sun set, the stars come out. It's a perfect evening. They'll need to be cautious. It's about 9 o'clock at night when Larned pulls his buggy up to the Connecticut River Bank building. He eases the carriage off the street.
Dressed in a woman's dress as a disguise, Larned pulls out a set of skeleton keys and makes his way to the front door. It doesn't take long for Larned to force the lock open and slip inside. Now, once in the bank, his partner joins him. The two are careful to stay quiet, not draw too much attention to the building.
Given this is the downtown business district and after 9 o'clock, there's no one around outside, so the two get to work. The pair force the metal door to the banking room open, and now they're heading for the vault.
Oh man, this isn't going to be easy. They're working on sawing and drilling through the bolts in the door. Hours pass, but it looks like Larned is finally ready.
The pair brought out some small powder charges. They're going to try to blow through the locks. Yeah, we better step back. This is risky. I mean, they could blow up the money inside or draw too much attention to themselves.
Did it work?
It looks like it did. The bank vault is open. Now, did any neighbors hear? That's another question.
Larned and his partner don't want to wait around too long to find out. They're stuffing cash, gold and silver into the bags they brought inside.
With the vault empty, they're now cleaning out the banker drawers. It's about midnight when the pair slip out the front door with just over $12,000. They lock the door behind them.
With the loot stashed in the buggy, Larned is driving south in the middle of the night. He's keeping it to a slow trot because he'd like to put as many miles between himself and the bank as possible. Plus, he's trying not to draw too much attention. It's not like there's other travelers out at this hour.
A few hours later, the pair are about 11 miles south of Charlestown. They're coming up to a place called Hatch Hill. In order to keep the buggy moving and not tire out the horse too much, the men get off the buggy to help lighten the load. Larned lags behind the wagon, while his partner walks ahead up the hill. The horse continues pulling the buggy at a slow pace.
Larned's partner is a fast walker. Plus, he's nervous about getting caught. Soon, he's pulling way ahead of the buggy. Larned is exhausted. He's falling behind. Still, they figure they'll meet up in a mile or two as they crest the long hill. Pretty soon, Larned can't even hear the horse and buggy anymore.
Now at the top of Hatch Hill, Larned finally catches up with his partner. There's just one problem.
Where's the buggy?
Yeah, that's the problem.
Where's the buggy, Ray?
I have no idea, and neither do these two bank robbers. The man in front wasn't passed by the buggy, and Larned never caught up to it.
Okay, so we've been walking for miles. The road's been mostly straight the whole way. I mean, how in the world does a horse and buggy disappear?
The bandits are desperate, so they approach a nearby farmhouse. They ask to borrow a lantern. They claim they lost their horse in the dark. The sleepy farmer obliges.
The two are backtracking down Hatch Hill with the lantern, but find no sight of their horse and buggy. With dawn breaking, they know they need to split up or get out of sight. One of them hires a farmer to drive him to Walpole, New Hampshire. The other slips off to Keene, where he'll get another driver to take him back to Massachusetts.
Meanwhile, just east of here, in the small town of Marlow, a farmer named Horace Gee is leaving the home of a sick friend to head back to his own home. Gee had sat with his friend all night. It's just after 5 a.m. when Gee is riding along and finds a horse and buggy with no driver. The horse is walking at a slow pace with the reins dragging on the road.
Gee doesn't see anyone around, and he can tell the horse is exhausted. So he leads the horse and buggy back to his farm. He waters and feeds the horse, then ties the horse and buggy up to his fence posts on the road next to his property. He figures the owner will be along soon enough.
It's now 8 a.m. back in Charlestown. Connecticut River Bank manager George Alcott is unlocking the doors of the bank to open for the day. He's concerned when his key seems to be stuck, but soon he's able to force the lock and get inside.
And once inside, Alcott immediately sees the bank door has been forced open. It's now clear there was a break-in. Alcott hurries to the bank vault door, grateful to see that it's closed. But as he gets closer, he sees the damage. Pretty soon it's obvious. The bank has been robbed. The thief made off with everything they had and left no clues behind.
The bank president soon arrives and agrees to offer a $500 reward if their missing money is returned. All of Charlestown is soon buzzing with the story of the bank robbery.
It's around noon when a rider passes Gee's farm and tells him the news that the bank had been robbed and there's a $500 reward. Now, the news piques Gee's curiosity to the point where he takes a closer look at that buggy parked in front of his farm.
Sure enough, Gee sees the missing loot inside. Gee rides the buggy back into Charlestown and pulls up in front of the bank. The money is counted, and it's the exact amount that was stolen.
So basically, the bank's money was missing for about 14 hours.
Right, which is why they're now backtracking on the reward. They figure since it was recovered so easily, they should only pay $400. Now, Gee is angry, but reluctantly accepts.
Pretty soon, investigators piece together the buggy's escape route and figure out what happened. On Hatch Hill, there's a small cutoff that was used by loggers. Now, if you follow the logging road long enough, it connects to another road that would take you east into Marlow. The horse and buggy with no driver must have veered off onto this road, which is why it appeared to have vanished to Larned and his partner.
And inside the buggy, investigators found another clue that led them to Oxford, Massachusetts, where Abijah Larned was arrested. And then things got weird.
Weirder than the disappearance of an escape buggy?
Larned says to his captors that he'd like to be brought before the Connecticut River Bank president and trustees. Authorities agree. And once in the room with all of them, Larned apologizes profusely for the trouble he's caused. He offers to pay for the repair of the vault and their doors. He offers to reimburse them the $500 reward money and is adamant that Guy be given the other $100. And he offers to reimburse authorities for the cost of his arrest.
That's amazing. Where does he get the money to do this?
Now, folks here aren't asking too many questions about that. Next, Larned finds a local businessman who is willing to post the $2,500 bond to the courts. And here's the craziest part.
Okay.
Larned pays the man the full $2,500 bond plus $250. All he asks of the bank is that they give him his tools back from the buggy.
Wait, his bank robbing tools?
Yeah, those, but the bank refuses. But they seem satisfied that the robber has repaired all the damages he caused. When the court day arrives, Abijah Larned is nowhere to be seen. So the court keeps the $2,500 bond.
Which Larned paid himself.
Right. So the businessman who put up the bail that Larned gave him didn't lose anything. In fact, he was $250 richer for the trouble. And that brings us back to today.
So $12,000 in 1850 would have been about $500,000 in today's money. We can only assume that Larned continued his life of crime after the Charlestown bank heist. He seemed to have no problem throwing money around. Now, had he kept a closer eye on his horse and buggy, he would have likely gotten away with the heist. And Larned never did give up the name of his partner in the robbery.
I feel like we don't hear about bank robberies anymore.
No, not much. I mean, number one, banks don't keep much cash on hand because there's no point. And two, there are security cameras everywhere. You're just not as likely to get away with it.
And today, the old bank building here in Charlestown is a church. Times change, I guess. But I'm glad the building is still here.
Me too. And the story's still here. The crime of the year in 1850. And they almost got away with it had they been just a little smarter.
And that takes us to After the Legend, where we take a closer look into this week's story and sometimes veer off course like a horse-drawn buggy full of loot.
Oh, I get it. After the Legend's brought to you by our Patreon patrons. Please help us keep this show going and growing by heading to patreon.com/New England Legends. We work for you, so your support goes a long way. Plus, you'll get early ad-free access to new episodes, you get our entire archive of shows, plus bonus episodes and content that no one else gets to hear or see. Just last week, we put up our future hit song, Ripped in Rocks, for our patrons. Just $3 per month. Please head to patreon.com/New England Legends to sign up. And to see some pictures for this week's story, click on the link in our episode description or go to our website and click on episode 366. By the way, to finish the Abijah Larned story, he eventually was arrested in Cooperstown, New York, home of the Baseball Hall of Fame, for robbing another bank, and he eventually died in New York State Prison.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of bank robberies anymore.
No, once in a while you'll see something that makes the news, but they get caught so fast.
Yeah, well, because of cameras everywhere, not just in the bank.
Outside the bank, inside the bank. Yeah. But by the time you're asking for the money, they're hitting the alarm button.
Yeah.
You know, the police are already on their way. You know,
and they follow these guys if they know what direction they went in. All right, give me the camera on that street.
Right.
Now let's get the camera on the other street and the satellite. And there's no way to get out of it.
Here's the part of the story we didn't really discuss too much, but back in 1850, I mean, also, like if you heard your local bank was robbed, you'd be like, okay, I hope no one was hurt. No one was hurt. Good. Then you wouldn't have any concern. You'd still have your money.
Yeah.
FDIC insured.
Oh, sure.
The federal government backs it up to whatever, like $250,000 or something.
Yeah.
Maybe more at this point. Back then, if all your money was at the, Connecticut River Bank.
Yeah. It's gone.
It was robbed. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh no.
What are you going to do about that?
I had $1,000 in there. I had all I have, or like a big chunk of what I have is in there. Oh no. And so like you probably had a really uncomfortable day back on, when you've heard the news that your bank was robbed.
Sure.
Like
your life savings.
I don't know what, oh no. Thankfully it all got back and you were fine. So nobody lost their fortunes or whatever. But there was a time when if your bank was robbed, so that's why people kept money hidden in their house.
Yeah.
They didn't trust banks or whatever. And that's a bad idea.
Well, still need a shoebox somewhere.
Sure.
Come on.
What you got in there? Is this, you know what I mean? But
I don't want the IRS on my back. I don't want to talk about this.
it's not illegal for you to pull money out of your bank and hide it in a shoebox.
No, not out of the bank. Right.
That's not. Okay. IRS, call me if there's a reward for a tip.
I'm kidding. I have no cash in this house.
Yeah. So
There's no reason to rob my house. I have nothing.
My parents keep some, but like, honest to God, like enough for like takeout for a couple of nights. No, truly. But
Yeah.
they
take out emergencies. Sure.
But they don't like to have and whenever a grandkid comes, you're going to get a 20.
Oh yeah. Nice.
Like it's $20. What do I get? A hug.
I have a jar full of change.
Yeah, I do. I have a fishbowl.
A fishbowl?
And when that thing fills up, I can tell you right now, it's probably like $400.
Yeah, we do that until we go on vacation and then we cash it in. It's like, oh, extra money.
Yeah,
That's
it's
nice.
found. It's because you don't. Every time you have change in your pocket, I just throw it in the fishbowl, and then when that thing gets near full, you go to that.
Did you go to Coinstar?
Yeah, but okay, here's what I
Give
do.
like 3% back?
Unless you get an Amazon credit.
Oh.
And then they give you full.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And
I haven't been there in a while.
Since we're always on Amazon anyway,
Yeah.
I just do that. And then
that's a good idea.
And I throw it in the credit for Amazon, and you're like, oh, I bought a bunch of free stuff.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, life hacks, whatever. But yeah, so bank robbing, you don't really hear about it, but the idea. So back when there was the gold rush, the whole idea that like, hey, look, I'm young, I'm single, I'm going to go out west, I'm going to stake a claim, and what if I get rich in like 3 weeks? It wasn't likely, but it also wasn't impossible.
happen, sure.
It happened to people. There were people that were like, I hit a vein, I had pounds of gold, and I was rich. I came back a year later like a wealthy person. So the idea of robbing a bank is the same thing. Like if I could get away with it, if I could pull off the heist.
Yeah.
And then, how many movies, Ocean's 11, like they're robbing a casino, but it's the same idea.
Sure.
You got to go into some place that's supposed to be impregnable.
Yeah.
And, pull the money out. So back then there were capers. You did that.
Yep.
But
And you got away with it, and you were a hero to some, I think. Not if you had money in the bank.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
I think it was a prestigious
Could you
criminal.
pull it off?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Could you pull it off?
And then there's also banks like in recent years in small towns that might not have the technology. Probably by now, though, everyone's got it. But I'm talking 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
You could still rob a bank in the Midwest.
Those are the good old
All
days.
right.
Those
I
were
went
the
out that
days.
way, but they were already robbed. So
They were
it
like,
was,
there's nothing left, right?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. I'll just take a lollipop and keep moving.
And I do like the criminal that you see it in the movies all the time. Don't be a hero. This money's insured. You'll get it back.
Yeah, right. This is a victimless crime.
Yeah.
Right? It's not, but yeah.
Sure.
Right. It's still
And then there's the Robin Hood aspect. Where you
Right.
see the bank robbers rob and then give back.
yeah. And the government doesn't like bank robberies because they're like, you're not paying any tax on that.
Right. That's found money.
Yeah.
Literally.
So you literally are supposed to pay taxes. Now, if they pay taxes on it, they'd be like, maybe it wouldn't hunt for you so much.
Maybe.
They love when you
Give
win
them
the
a smaller
lottery.
sentence.
Love when you win the
yeah.
lottery because you go there and they're just like, this is a brag. Once at a bar, a group of us were playing Keno, and like I thought I hit for like $22, right? And so I went up to get it, and they're like, I can't pay this. I'm like, what are you talking about? $22? Like, come on.
What a dive bar that was.
Yeah, she's
Can't
like,
afford $22.
she's like, it's $1,022.
Oh wow.
And I went, oh. She's like, you got to go to Worcester for this.
Ugh.
So whatever.
I know it's $1,000.
$1,000. Well, no, it was like 600 because
because of taxes.
when you go there, they're like, would you like us to take the taxes out? And by the way, say yes. Say yes every time.
Yeah.
Because they're going to get it one way or the other.
Right.
Like it's just better that it's done. And
Yeah.
aren't you happy to
Let them deal with it?
Yeah. Here's $600. So that was my biggest lottery win of my life.
But did you have to split that? You said you were with people. Was that just your ticket?
That was
okay. I thought you were doing a group.
No, it was my wife and I. Like,
Nice.
so we had like our own ticket and like we'd won like $3 here, lost most of the games. We did like 5 games in a row, or whatever.
Yeah.
Just as a goof. And it was not a lot of money, but
What a
I was
goof.
like, wow, I don't gamble much.
Yeah.
So whatever. So overall,
That's the thing. I know people who gamble, and my buddy just won $1,000 on a scratch ticket. I'm like, yeah, but how much have you put in over the years?
Yeah.
Are you even?
So I had a friend who was, he actually was treated for gambling addiction, and his poison was scratch tickets.
Yeah.
He was spending like $500 to $1,000 a week.
Oh my gosh.
A week. And I'm like, let me guess, you won back 30 to 40%. He goes, that's exactly right.
Ugh.
He's like, once I hit 10 grand. And I'm
Feels
like,
good when you win,
Yeah.
but then you do the math and you're like, oh, I'm still down.
yeah, 10 grand is great, except the last 20 weeks, you're down 20,000.
Right.
You know? So anyway, he was treated for it, thankfully. But he's like, I can't even smell the scratch from the scratch tickets. And I was just like, oh, for me, that's like a Christmas present.
Right?
You
Getting that dust under your fingernail.
Yeah. We'll buy like 20 of them. So anyway, yeah. So the idea of getting rich quick, that's still, we want that. So we buy lottery tickets. That's the legal way to do it.
Yeah.
And robbing a bank, not so practical anymore.
All right, hit that subscribe button wherever you get your podcasts because it's free. We don't want you to miss a thing. Please also post a review for us. Tell a friend or two about the show. That helps us get found in a crowded sea of podcasts. We appreciate you being part of our community. And don't be a stranger. We love hearing from you.
We do. And would also like to thank our sponsors. Thank you to our Patreon patrons. And our theme music's by John Judd.
Until next time, remember,
The Bazaar is closer than you think.